Let's be honest for a second. Think about that skill you swore you were going to learn. The guitar gathering dust in the corner of your room, the programming course you left half-finished, the foreign language books still in their shrink wrap. What happened? You probably blamed yourself for a lack of discipline or willpower. But what if I told you it's not your fault? What if willpower, that virtue everyone tells you to have, is actually the very poison that's sabotaging your progress? This is the counterintuitive truth that top performance experts like James Clear have discovered. Trying to learn through brute force is like trying to open a door by pushing when it's clearly marked pull. You generate a massive amount of effort for zero results. That frustration, that feeling of spinning your wheels while the world moves forward, isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign that your system is wrong. The good news is that your brain doesn't need more effort. It needs an upgrade. And in the next few minutes, I'm not going to give you cheap motivational tips. I'm going to give you a complete operating system, a step-by-step guide with 4 logical, practical updates for you to install any new skill in your brain, almost automatically. You'll understand why focusing on just one tiny thing is the secret to a giant leap forward. We're going to uninstall the program of procrastination and paralysis and install the software of inevitable progress. This isn't just another how to learn faster video. This is a mental reprogramming guide for you to finally execute what you've always dreamed of. And the first update is so simple, you'll be able to apply it literally 5 minutes after we're done here. Stay with me and get ready for the first download. Many brilliant men and women fail not from a lack of ambition, but from an excess of it. They see the full scope of a new skill and try to embrace it all at once, which is a classic mistake. It's like deciding to learn programming, and in your first sitting trying to sketch out the next Facebook. The brain simply shuts down. This quest for instant perfection doesn't generate progress. It generates a paralysis that kills motivation before the real learning can even begin. The solution, as the great masters of human performance teach, is to radically shift your focus. Think of it like installing a single app instead of the entire Office suite. When you just need to put a filter on a photo, you don't download Photoshop with all its complex features, right? You get a simple app that does one thing well. To develop a new habit or talent, the principle is exactly the same. Simplify it to the extreme until it's almost ridiculously easy. I remember perfectly when I decided to dive into the world of financial markets. My goal on the first day wasn't to understand the stock market, but to understand what a riot is. The next day, the goal was just to open a brokerage account. Each of these small steps was a mental app that I installed. In less than 2 weeks, I had built a fundamental knowledge system without ever feeling overwhelmed. Therefore, the secret to unlocking any learning journey is to define your minimum viable download. If you want to learn Spanish, your goal today is just to learn how to say hola que tal. That's it. This small act of victory is the seed of a great skill. But of course, taking that first step is one thing. How do you ensure you'll want to take the second, third, and fourth, when the ultimate prize still seems so far away? The fundamental problem we deal with is that our brain is a lot like an impatient child. It wants the reward now. The great satisfaction of mastering a new skill, be it fluency in a language or mastery of an instrument, is a prize that's too far in the future. This distance creates a motivation vacuum, making the habit of practicing feel like an effort with no immediate return, which is an open invitation to quit early. To hack this need for gratification, we need to take inspiration from video game designers, the world's greatest masters of engagement. Think about your favorite game. Every action, every little bit of progress is celebrated with a sound, with points flashing on the screen. You don't wait until the very end to feel victorious. We need, then, to build our own system of checkpoints in real life, creating micro-rewards that validate our effort in real time and keep the learning process engaging. The technique for this is surprisingly simple. Combine a short practice session, just 5 or 10 minutes, with the creation of proof. If your focus is on learning a guitar chord, at the end of the session, Take a picture of your hand in the correct position. Learned a phrase in English? Record an audio clip of yourself saying it. This physical or digital proof isn't just a record. It is your checkpoint, the game's little victory tune playing, the tangible reward your brain craves. By doing this, you create a positive feedback loop. The effort generates proof, the proof generates satisfaction, and satisfaction generates the desire to repeat the effort. This system transforms the learning journey into a series of daily, palpable wins. However, even with the perfect focus strategy and an addictive reward system, there's a silent saboteur that can undermine all your progress, and it's not inside your head, but all around you. The silent enemy we spoke of is your own environment. We try to cultivate a new, fragile habit in a setting that is perfectly optimized to pull us back to our old patterns. The phone buzzing on the desk is more appealing than the book. The TV remote is more accessible than the guitar inside its case. Relying on willpower alone to fight a hostile environment is like trying to row against a strong current, an exhausting and, most of the time, losing battle. The solution is to stop fighting and start architecting. Think of it as building a greenhouse for orchids. You don't throw such a sensitive plant into a windstorm, hoping it will survive. You create a sanctuary, an environment with the perfect light, humidity, and temperature for it to flourish. For a new skill to develop, your room, your desk, and your home need to become that protective greenhouse for your focus. This means actively redesigning your space to make learning the path of least resistance. Want to read more? The strategy isn't to have more discipline, but to leave the book on your pillow and charge your phone in another room. Want the habit of playing guitar to stick? Take it out of its case and put it on a stand in the middle of your living room. The idea is to make yourself trip over your new skill all the time, making inertia your ally. By shielding your environment, you create a powerful support system that makes progress almost inevitable. You no longer have to spend energy resisting temptation because you've removed it from your path. But let's say you've done everything right. You've set your focus, created a reward system, and prepared your greenhouse. Even so, when it's time to act, something holds you back. It's fear, the discomfort of being a beginner, the voice of our own ego that hates to feel incompetent. This final barrier is perhaps the most powerful of all, because it comes from within. It's our own ego. We, as adults, hate the feeling of being incompetent, the discomfort of being a beginner, of asking basic questions, of making mistakes that seem foolish, is so great that we often prefer to quit silently rather than face that vulnerability. This is the real reason why so many learning journeys are aborted, the fear of looking foolish to ourselves. To overcome this, we need a radical mindset shift, and the best analogy is learning to ride a bike. No one gets on a bike for the first time and rides off in a perfect straight line. The fall, the scraped knee, the imbalance, all of that isn't an obstacle to the process. It is the process. Why is it, then, that when we set out to learn a new skill, we expect to have the performance of a master on day one? You need to consciously activate intern mode. Activating intern mode means giving yourself an official license to be a beginner. It's a free pass to ask the questions you think are silly, to make the basic mistakes, and most importantly, to celebrate the act of trying instead of punishing yourself for the lack of perfection. This mindset disarms the ego and reframes error, not as a sign of failure, but as a sign that progress is happening and the learning is real. A simple and devastatingly effective tool to solidify this change is to add one single word to your internal vocabulary: yet. You shouldn't think, "I can't do this," but rather, "I can't do this yet." This small word transforms a statement of limitation into a promise of the future. It acknowledges the present difficulty while keeping the door to potential wide open, nurturing the resilience needed. For any journey, now you have the complete map. You've realized that the secret isn't to have more willpower, but to have a smarter system. You've learned to use the minimum viable download to beat paralysis, to create checkpoints to hack your own reward, to build a skill greenhouse to protect your focus, and to activate intern mode to give your ego permission to learn. You didn't just get tips, you received the keys to a new learning method. The big question now is, what are you going to do with these keys? How long will you let your talents and projects gather dust in the basement of your mindset? Look at your life right now and answer me. What is your first download? What is the first tiny skill you will start installing? Not tomorrow, but today. Leave a comment below. I want to know what your first brave step will be. You have two choices. Close this video and let this knowledge evaporate, returning to the cycle of trying and quitting. Or you can make a decision. The decision to be the architect of your environment and your routine. The decision that progress, even if it's just 1%, is non-negotiable. The life change you're looking for isn't in some grand event in the future, but in the micro-action you take right now. If this map made sense to you, and you want to keep getting practical strategies to master the game of learning and high performance, subscribe to the channel right now. And, most importantly, hit that notification bell because this is just the beginning of our journey. We're in this together, building your best version